Hi friends, it's Lauren Taylor. Thanks for joining me here in my craft room today. I'm excited to have you here and just grateful for you taking time out of your day with me. I'm going to be creating a card using the Market Bloom collection from scrapbook.com. I have this 6x8 pattern paper pad called Market Bloom, and I'm going to be using the spring flower cart as my main focus, and I'll be using the flower cart dies for my sentiment as well as the lovely bunches stamp set. I'm going to add a little bit of detailed dies or die cuts, I guess, with the stitching patterns die set, and I have my trusty nested A2 rectangle dies that definitely need to be moved into a better folder. I was really inspired by this beautiful floral design from the Market Bloom 6x8 paper pad. And I'm also going to be using Craft Roulette's last episode to inspire my card like theme and layout and colors, etc. So I'll talk about that as I go through the card. I have my A2 card base ready, and I'm going to start with stamping my flower cart using my beautiful rose quartz Misty and my little stamping pressure tool. And I'm just stamping the cart with some alcohol marker friendly black ink. So I'm using jet black from Fawn, and I stamp it I think 2 times to try and get a nice crisp image, but I'm going to leave my stamp in my Misty and I will re-stamp my image when I'm all done coloring. So I trimmed it down so I have a little bit less of a space to work with, and it'll fit better in my Misty when I do a couple different types of stamping later on. And I'm starting with my alcohol marker coloring. I'm using Olo markers, and I started with G 1.8 as the darker tone and G 1.7 as the lighter tone, and that will be all of the greens for my cart. So obviously the flower stems and leaves and plants, and I'm going to bring in some green on my umbrella as well. For my orange, I'm using O 2.4 and O 2.2 for these beautiful flowers. And then again, I'm going to bring in orange on the umbrella and flower cart. For my darker pink, I'm using R 0.4 and R 0.3. And for the lighter pink, still continuing on with R 0.2 and R 0.1. So those are all the color combinations, well, except for brown. I'm going to do brown next. And for brown, I'm using OR 7.4 and OR 7.2. So that's going to be the flower vases as well as the wheels of my cart and the umbrella. I almost called it a stem, the umbrella post, I guess. So I'm going to color in the wheels and then the rest of my umbrella that with the brown, the post. I need to look up my umbrella anatomy apparently. But then I'm going to bring in a lot of the oranges and pinks to color in the rest of the cart. So for the umbrella and the cart itself, except for the very top of the umbrella, I will bring in a little bit more of that green. So I'll just let you enjoy my coloring and let's just catch up, see how things are going. I'm really excited that I'm going to be traveling to Creativation this weekend. You'll have to let me know if you're going to be there in the comments of this video, or message me on Instagram. That's probably the best way so we can try to meet up. I won't be there for the whole time, but I will be there on the weekend and on Monday. So I hope to see you if you are going to be there. I'm going to be going with Pear Blossom Press, which is like my favorite go-to light company. They make easy lights, which making interactive light up cards such a breeze. So excited to have the opportunity to go. I hope to see you there. I will do my best to take lots of pictures and some video. Hopefully I can make a little short reel so you can, just take a peek if you are not able to attend. I've never been to New Orleans before, so while I won't get the full New Orleans experience, I still am really excited to go, and hopefully we'll have some time to get some beignets and some really good seafood, which are like my top 2 favorite things. What else is new? I am, really busy as usual. Girl Scout cookie season is over, thank God. So really happy to have my evenings back again. We were doing cookie booths left and right, so really grateful that that is over. Abigail killed it. She did awesome. I'm very proud of her. And she met her goal plus a little. So I'm just really proud of her for achieving something and working really hard to achieve it. We've also been doing lots of volunteering, and we are both going to be receiving a Presidential Volunteer Service Award for all of our time and hours put in with Girl Scouts for both of us, and then also some donations that I did with cards and other things. So that also gave me some hours. As you know, I make a lot of cards. And then also, my daughter has been really active in her school and volunteering her time helping other students with reading and math. So I'm very proud of my little kiddo. She's doing awesome. And I'm also excited that we will both be on Craft Roulette in May. So save the date for May 10th. The video link is live, so I'll make sure to add it in the description today as well. Okay, so now that the coloring is done, I'm going to go back with my VersaFine and Onyx Black to stamp on top of my colored in image, just to really darken and really intensify the outline of my stamp. I have been doing this a lot lately, and I really just like how everything looks. It just makes it look more bold. So I've been doing that a lot. One of the parameters from episode 206 last Friday was that our project had to be a card with a heart. So I have this little stamp set with hearts on them, and I'm adding them to the cart, like kind of the left and right edges of the pink area that I colored of the flower cart. Now it is very tone on tone, so it's kind of hard to see, but they're there, little tiny hearts on my cart. And then I'm going to stamp my sentiment with that same Onyx Black ink. It says love you bunches, which is, perfect for our little flower cart and all the bouquets. And for the rest of my sentiment, I'm going to do some die cutting. I'm going to use the thank you dies and shadow dies from the flower cart die set. And I'm going to use this kind of fun pink pattern paper with the polka dots and a solid green. So my actual thank you words are going to be in the solid green, and then the shadow will be in that pretty pink color. Now, in order to adhere the words to the shadow, I'm going to use a piece of double-sided adhesive sheet on the back of my green pattern paper, or I guess in this case it's solid cardstock, but the other side is patterned. So I'm going to attach it to the back of this piece of paper. So I'm just using my nonstick scissors to cut through that adhesive sheet scrap, and I'll go ahead and add that layer to the back of the cardstock. And this will allow my dies to have a sticky adhesive back after I run it through the die cut machine, which means I don't have to go in with my fine tip glue and adhere to the back of the sentiment. It also really helps with keeping it nice and sturdy. Sometimes with word dies, they can be very dainty and can bend or tear. So this also just gives it a bit of stability or sturdiness once I take it out of the die cut machine. So I'll grab my magic mat, I'll run these through my Sizzix Big Shot, and you'll see here that I have my shadow dies out of that pink polka dot paper. And then I will take out the thank you from the green. Now they're pretty stuck inside the die, but you can see that I just have to grab my little pokey tool from scrapbook.com and I can poke it out of the die. So I'm being very careful because these are, again, still delicate. Even though they have the adhesive, you still, can't just tear it off. It's still pretty dainty. But I'll go ahead and use my poking tool to just poke through the holes in the die to be able to get the die cut out. But you'll see here when I pull it out that it's still pretty sturdy and that it will hold its shape really well, which also just allows me to be able to add it to the shadow die super easily. So I have the thank, and then I'll repeat that same process for the you, and that will be the first half of my sentiment. So the thank you is going to overlap under the umbrella, and then there's love you bunches on the cart. There is a coordinating die set for this stamp set, but I don't have it yet. So I just fussy cut it out. You could use your scan and cut if you have one, but I definitely recommend getting the dies. It just makes life so much easier and quicker. But I did fussy cut it out for today's project. I'm grabbing my nested A2 rectangles and I'm going to grab the second largest one to cut out that beautiful floral background. And then I went to the fourth largest one to cut out a piece of vellum. So I know that the cart, because it has the very same colors as my pattern paper, which were inspired for the colors parameter for Craft Roulette, which was vintage. I thought these flowers just felt very like vintage flower couch that you would see at like your grandma's house. So that's what the colors are inspired by. And also the element has to be plants. So we've got lots of plants on this project. But I know that the cart will get lost on this background because they're the same colors. They're both very vibrant and colorful. So when that happens and I don't want to cover my background paper because it's too pretty, I like to add vellum. I think it's a great way to add a layer without covering anything up, if that makes sense. The last parameter from episode 206 Craft Roulette was to add lace on the base. So I thought I would create that effect by using these new stitching dies from scrapbook.com. Again, this is a border die set and it's called the Stitching Patterns. And I picked two different ones that I thought would look really pretty together and create a very lacy look. So using my mint tape and my magic mat, I ran this through my die cut machine. As you can see, it just makes perforated stitching lines. It doesn't actually cut anything out. So that is my take on lace on the base. It has a lacy look on the base of this piece of vellum. So here you can see I'm figuring out my layout, and you can really see that cart now because it doesn't get lost in the background, but you also see how beautiful that pattern paper is, and we're not blocking any of those pretty flowers. So that's my favorite way when I have this type of design on my card. So now that I have all my pieces, let's get to layering everything together. I'm using 1mm foam from scrapbook.com. I'm using a combination of the strips, the squares, and the small squares to completely cover my cart. I am obsessed with 1mm foam. I love adding foam to all the things, so having some thinner foam so I can add foam to all the things without making my card like 2 inches thick is my favorite thing. So I'm obsessed with the 1mm, and I'm gonna need a restock probably already soon. So I added that right to my vellum piece, and I'm also gonna add that same 1mm thick foam behind my thank you sentiment. And I'm going to do my best to get that centered underneath the umbrella. So thank will overlap the umbrella pole stick. I meant to look this up. Anyway, it's overlapping the umbrella stand. And so I didn't put any adhesive behind the K because I knew that it was going to be, it was the wider word, more letters. So it will be the word overlapping the umbrella. And then I added U, doing my best to get that centered left to right on that piece of vellum. And the reason why I added everything to my vellum first is because vellum is see-through. So when I want to add my adhesive, I want to know where my where I could add the adhesive without it showing. So when I have everything adhered to the vellum, I can just go in with my glue and add glue to where it will be covered by the flower cart and the sentiment. So adding lots of glue, but only to the areas where I know it won't be seen. Now I will add a couple glue little dots, I guess you could say, when I'm all done because I'm going to add some pops of color. So I wanted a little bit more stability of the vellum in the two top corners. There's enough adhesive behind the wheels of the cart that I think the bottom of my vellum is nice and secure to my card, but I didn't like that it was still kind of loose on the top two corners. So I'll add a little bit of glue just using a glue dot after I get this adhered to my top folding A2 card base that in just two different spots that I'm going to cover with my pops of color. So you'll see here after I'm done getting this centered onto my card base. I love a good white border on my card bases. Again, that's just like what I'm into right now. And then I grabbed my little glue gun and added glue to two spots on my top corners of my vellum. I tried not to put them in exactly the same spot, a little bit off left to right, and that way when I add my pops of color in Kelly Green Gloss, I'm just covering those two little spots of glue, and it just helps hide that I put glue there. I'm going to add a few more pops around the card. I do tap the back of the card base to help dome them out so they have more of an enamel dot look than a Hershey Kiss look. That's just my preference. But here's a close-up of my pretty floral flower cart, thank you, love you, bunches card. I hope you had fun creating with me today. If you're here from Craft Roulette, hello, nice to see you. And again, leave me a comment if I'll see you at Creativation. I'm so excited to go. I haven't been since 2014, a whole 10 years ago. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!